So today we have Mark Bounds with us, so we're really happy to have him here, and he's going to talk to you all about preparing to kind of be an artist in the music industry. So this masterclass is brought to you by the Big Music Project, which is funded by the Big Loss Fund and is a partnership with UK Youth. So we're all about breaking the barriers to the music industry and just making it more about kind of your passion and your kind of contacts that you make rather than about who you know. So we want to kind of democratise the industry and make it more accessible for everyone. So once again, thank you so much for coming. These masterclasses run every month, so feel free to go onto the website and look out for the next one. The next one will obviously be in November, around mid-November. But for now, I'm going to hand over to the lovely Mark, who will begin his presentation. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you. You should see, I think you've all seen, on your feet. So basically, this is the document that is essentially the accompaniment to what I'm going to talk about, and for the next probably 45 minutes, because I do tend to ramble on a bit. Now, the idea behind this is that these are all the minimum prerequisites that you're going to need to be thinking about and have an awareness of, either as an artist or working with an artist if you're from the executive side. And what you'll see is that each of the areas are vertically put in line, but the whole point is that if you read the 3 pages, and I know it's impossible to do because we've only got 2 hands, but horizontally, because that kind of makes the point that this is all the stuff that you're going to be having to think about simultaneously, because in the real world you don't compartmentalise, right, I've done that, now I'm going to think about that, because your image and your branding will be associated with your online presence. So there's so many of the areas that correlate, you're going to be needing to be thinking about them all at the same time. And you'll also notice that that's why next to them there's little tick boxes. The idea being that when you address each of the boxes, you can tick it when you think, yeah, I've taken care of that business, because that'll act to highlight not only what you have taken care of, it'll also help you to highlight what you haven't taken care of. And then that can be an area of focus for where you need to go from there. So that's just kind of like a brief explanation of what this document is. And also, hopefully, by being able to take it away with you, it will mean that you can refer back to it and use it as a document going forward when you're planning your timelines. So briefly about me, so I'm an A&R consultant, so freelance A&R. I also work in artist development in education and state-sponsored artist development programs in Sweden and the UK as well. My A&R background was at Sony, both in the UK, Sony Europe and Sony Japan, and BMG in Australia, various independent companies, talent consultant for The Voice. I've also worked in music education for both ACM in Guildford and for the BIM Group, and I'm on the advisory board for South by Southwest Education as well, because that's been a real focus over the last 10 years about the education and development of both artists and executives within the music industry, about how we can coach the coaches so that they can coach better performances out of the artists as well. So the two go in hand. So that's why the document really is to kind of give you a holistic approach to your development as an artist, or artist development as well, because you are going to have to look at all of these areas simultaneously. So that's why things like the Big Music Project are a great initiative, because it allows you to glean information that you're going to then utilise in your own career, which so often that information is very difficult to get. So the idea of having mentors and having coaching accessible to you so you can take control of your own careers moving forward. Now, I will explain that this is part of a program that we offer deliver over a course of weeks. I'm going to try and fit it all into this short, sharp workshop. So you can tell I talk quite quickly because I'm from Birmingham anyway. So it's like, yeah, so there's a lot of information for you to take away, but fortunately it is being filmed and you've got the document there to take away with you as well. So hopefully you'll get an overview, but that's all there really will be time for today is an overview, because I'm already 5 minutes late. Yeah. So essentially what we're going to be looking at is all the factors to help shape and determine what a successful artist is going forward. And like I say, these factors are simultaneous. There you go. So, yeah, what does it take to be a successful artist in this career, in this day and age? So the various sections that we're going to talk about and that also correlate with the document. So artist proposition and your target audience. Artist proposition is a really crass, for want of a worse word, phrase that we used to use a lot at BMG, but it does kind of sum up what the point is. Yeah, your target audience. We're going to talk about your music, sonics, live in the studio. We're going to talk about your online presence, your branding, your image. We're going to talk about research, so you know what your target market is. And we're also going to talk about your content and campaign. So when you've got your music, how to get your music out there. So your artist proposition. So what is it exactly? Your artist proposition is a combination really of your philosophy and your ethos. So what do you stand for? What is it that you believe in? What is it that drives you to create your art? What is behind what you do? What is it that you stand for? So when people see your name, they kind of go, yeah, I understand that artist. So who are your target audience? Which again is a fairly obvious kind of ideal. Yeah. What are the demographic of your target audience? So what age are they? What gender are they? Because different age and different genders have different styles. But often as an artist, you'll find at your age, as you're developing, your target audience are going to be very much like you, because you probably make the music that you love, that appeals to you, so you understand your own target audience. And then your media. So how do you get your music out there? So like, what media are you going to use? Yeah, what media do your favorite artists use to get their music out there? How do you access the media that your favorite bands use as well? And then new music discovery channels. So where your target audience is looking when they're looking to discover new music. So where do you look when you're looking to discover new music? So you've got to be thinking about how your future fan base find their next favorite artist. So those new music discovery channels. And when you know where the fan base is looking, you need to put your music where they're going to look to make it easy for them. So how do your target audience consume their music? Is it SoundCloud? Is it YouTube? Is it Spotify? So some key things that you're going to need to be thinking about amongst all that. Consistency. So with your online branding, your online presence, is there a consistency of branding and imagery across all your online presence? Consistency of music and image. Do the two fit? Does your music fit with what would naturally be perceived as your image around that as well? I always use the analogy of, if I go onto a website and it's a haunted house and it's got pentangles and bleeding goat skulls, and then a really quaint female folk voice comes out of the audio, I'm going to be really confused. So it's just about ensuring that your image, when people see the visual side of it, marries with what they're expecting to hear musically as well, and vice versa. And basically that your online presence looks believable and looks authentic. So it looks like you're actually really doing what you believe you're doing. So knowing your market, as we said, who is your market, how do they consume your market, what do they consume, and essentially what do they spend money on? Because that's how you're going to monetize your art down the line, knowing what your target audience will spend money on. And where you put you, so where you put your music so that your potential fans can find it easily, and that's where they're looking. So when we were researching this, we kind of went out, because rather than just having me here as a talking head kind of going, I think this, I think that, what we did was sat down with a lot of like industry friends, family, partners, etc., and asked them the same questions about the various areas. And Maz was one of the guys who kind of gave us a lot of useful information. Maz runs Communion's live project. He does the Communion radio show for Radio X here as well. And like Maz makes this point, don't upload every video and song that you've ever recorded on YouTube, but make sure that there's a clear, continuous flow of your work online. Yeah, so your work that you're putting out there in your social media are going to be most people's first window into your world, and that's where they get their impression from. So you've got to think carefully about what is online, what you put online, and what you take down from online, which is often the first step of when artists start to get a team around them. There's normally a withdrawing of some of the material that's online, just so that then you've got more control of it, and just to ensure that what is out there and can be easily consumed by your fans is what you want to be consumed as well. So, like I say, it's a good time to be thinking about how you want to be perceived as an artist and how your target audience are going to perceive you, who your target audience are, and how you can make them aware by placing of your content. And that's it. Like, I'm already sounding like a flipping marketer, content and consumption and things like that. You know what it is, but these are your content can be something. Yeah, it's going to be your music, but how is that music carried? Yeah. So we're going to talk now about your music. Yeah, because it seems really obvious, doesn't it? But often it isn't. So what is your music? It's essentially a combination of your sonics, which is your sounds, your production, your band members potentially, what instrumentation you've got, all things like that you might be thinking of now, especially if you're a songwriter that's now looking to take their songs out into the wider world. What are the sonics that you're hearing around those songs as well? Your live performance as well, thinking about your gigs, thinking about what they're going to look like, and your recordings. What recordings do you want? Are they home recordings? What's the studio recordings going to look like? So those combination of sonics, live and recording is essentially your music. So I'd say, so when we're talking about sonics, it's a combination of factors. It's kind of band members and which instrumentation. Is it going to be just you? Are you going to have a band supporting you? How do you make the noise that you're hearing in your head? How do you imagine your music being played and sounding down the line as well? Is it backing tracks? Is it live instrumentation? All things that you need to be starting to think about so that you're preparing yourself down the line as well. And references, so production references. What kind of production do you imagine around your songs? Is it lo-fi? Is it a kind of live sounding? Is it glitchy? Is it high-end pop? So again, all of these things that you need to be starting to think of. The sound of other records that sound like they would fit with your music. So what are their references? How are they producing them? And what are you going to use going forward? So you can use these as references to kind of show people exactly what you mean when you're explaining your sound, because there's often a very grey area, especially when you're going into a studio for the first time, when you're trying to explain your music often, and that's where so many emerging artists do struggle, when they're having to actually try and explain what's in their head to somebody. And often production language can sometimes be Japanese and the artist can be talking Chinese, and lost in translation comes around. So by having production references and being able to highlight that drum sound from a particular track takes away that grey area at times as well. So it's something to be thinking about. And dynamics within your sonics as well. So thinking about dynamics both within individual tracks, but also when you're putting your music out there as a continuous live set, thinking about the dynamics within the set as well. The first 4 hours of my day today were working with the band that I'm working with now, who we're going back out on tour next week, going through their 40-minute live set that they're just going to perform 18 times in 25 days or whatever. So going through the songs, working which songs fit, where, when, how does the dynamic of the set flow? Basically to ensure that you keep people engaged throughout. So the same within the live set as it is in the song. What are the dynamics of the song? Is the chorus strong enough? Is the middle eight strong enough? What's the dynamic flow within the song that's going to keep people engaged? And in the same way that as you'll find at radio, what is it that is keeping people not moving the dial? Likewise with retaining your audience at a show as well, the dynamic within the individual song and how that transmits into the dynamic over the course of the set as well. A good way of working on that is live capture. And again, as I said this morning, we'll video rehearsals or we'll video sets and then go back. Video, God, jeez, I've just shown me age there. We'll film them, yeah, and basically, yeah, go back and look at them post objectively and kind of go, what could we have done here? Yeah, does it flow? Is there a gap there? Do we need to think about this? Does that song cut through? Yes, cool. Does the set cut through as well? So having that live capture and that evaluation objectively beyond your gigs as well is an interesting, very much taken from the sports world about being able to view post and then coaching back into the ways of how you can affect the change going forward as well. So anything that you might change. So playing live, so once you've spent time on your songs, you'll naturally want to take them out there. So you've got to ensure that everybody knows the parts that they're playing and you've rehearsed and you're ready to play live. So it goes back to what we were saying about the set list. Yeah, what are you going to play in what order? So we spoke about live set dynamics. Yeah, you've thought about your set list in rehearsals. Start strong and finish stronger. Yeah, it's kind of like the key in the set. You've got to start strong so people kind of go like, wow, okay, this is impressive. Once you've hooked them, then you've got to retain them. And then at the end, you've got to send them out thinking that was a killer way to finish. So the song's still going through their head. So in the same way that you're engaging your audience, when you're engaging with the music industry as well, they'll be looking for the same points as that. You need to engage those A&Rs, whether they be A&Rs of music companies or labels or radio stations. What is it that's going to engage those people to kind of go, okay, this is cool. I want to stay here and keep them to the end. So when you say thank you, good night, they're still there kind of going, okay, yeah, that's cool. That was a great way to finish. Thinking about how the dynamics, have you got faster songs, have you got slower songs, how you're going to utilize those within the set as well. So it does ebb and flow and it peaks and troughs. So it allows the people breathing time to hear in the songs. That's what we've been going through this morning. It's a case of like where the down tempo song is going to fit in. So it retains the audience, but then drives on as well. Basically your whole aim is to keep people in front of you for the length of your set and let them leave in there remembering what you've done and really thinking about what you've done as well. So that's also going to be about your stage presence as well. What do you look like when you're on stage? How's the stage going to be set up? All things that you need to plan in advance before you get up there. Yeah, and so you've got a set stage plan so everybody knows what they're doing, everybody's comfortable with what they're doing when they're on stage, and whether that's just you and how you've got the piano set up or how you've got your guitar set up or whether there's 4 or 5 of you in the band. Everybody knows where they are and they're comfortable doing there, because that way you'll be a lot more relaxed. And then working out whether there's something you can do differently on stage to kind of keep people engaged. Yeah, where's the drummer going to be? Oh, he's always tucked at the back quietly. And where's that going to be? Is there anything that you can do differently to actually make your stage presence stand out from the other 10 bands that whoever's seen that week as well? Your stage presence and your image as well when you are getting to a venue. We've all been there when you walk into a venue and kind of go, that'll be the band. Because they look like the artist. They look like the artist you're expecting to see. They have that presence, they have that persona as well. And whether it be Mumford & Sons at one end or Lady Gaga at the other, it's a case of like, you look at them and you kind of go, yeah, they compute, they look like they are the band ready to go. And coming back to what we said about capture and critique as well, video in your live set can be so important because you will be lost in the moment when you're on stage. You will be working out what you're doing, getting through it, performing to the best of your ability. And by having somebody recording it and then allowing you that critiquing at the end, gives you the chance to look back objectively and just, sorry about that, that was on silent, and I don't know how it wasn't. So there'll be things that you notice when you're looking back at the video objectively that you will not have recognised when you were on stage in that part as well. Other factors for your live performance, thinking about the monetisation. of your live performance. So have you registered with PRS, for instance? Are you uploading your set list and where you've played onto the PRS form, because that's money that is sitting there waiting for you when you're there. So as important as part of the live set as well is to ensure that you've got some income coming from it. Promoting your show when you're playing live as well. Often, too many artists hand over that role to the promoter and think my work here is done. It's a co-role. You've got to be thinking about how you're promoting your art. The promoter essentially is the one who's going to put the cherry on the top of the cake that you've made and iced as well. You can't just default to thinking somebody else is taking care of business. It's your business, and the most important thing about you doing that show is people coming to see you. So you take the responsibility for promoting that show, whether it be online, across all your social media, in person, old school, do you want flyers? Have you got posters? All these means of production, because the problem with social media now, where with such things like Facebook, where they've got a limited post, only X number of your likes, followers, fans, friends are seeing those posts, you can't guarantee that just posting on Facebook is sufficient to get everybody through the door. So you're going to need to think about how you are going to, motivate and mobilize your tribe and your new fans, friends, wherever they're coming from. Similarly, like at the gig, make sure that you engage with anybody who is there, anybody who has come in to that gig to see you. Make sure you engage with them. Engage with them beforehand, engage with them when you're on stage, and make sure you're holding dialogue with them if you feel comfortable doing that. And then likewise, when you come off stage, that's when a lot of people will want to talk to you, and that's where you can allow them to kind of buy into who you are as a person as well, and ensure that they come back. Getting tagged in photos and getting people to then tag photos out, getting those photos shared of you in your social media, essentially widening your audience into their friends as well. Have you got a mailing list? Again, very old school, but definitely worth doing, because that way, if you've got a mailing list and something that you can offer in exchange for an email address, you are then conversing directly with that person rather than having to utilize somebody else's social media platform. Believe me, we were there when MySpace was the only thing that mattered in music, and now it's like, oh, okay, I wonder what ever did happen to all those MySpace friends that I remember having in 2008, and now I can't even remember how to spell it or what the name was on it. Well, we don't imagine that these current social medias are going to disappear anytime soon as well. Make the relationship with you. Have that direct to fan relationship, so that then you're negotiating directly with them as well. So guaranteeing that they're getting the message that you send them as well. Make sure that you've got someone in the crowd taking photos of your show as well, that it's a controlled environment so that you can upload them as well. Put a shout out so that anybody tags you in their shots as well, so they've got shots on stage. You're essentially just looking to expand your reach across as many people as possible, aren't you? So engaging with the audience when you're on stage as well. If you're having to tune up, make sure somebody's talking, so that somebody is chatting rather than having that very awkward 2-minute silence on stage where everybody's looking at their fingers and their pedals, which we've all been to, and you're just crying out for somebody to say something to make us feel like we're there. Oh, excuse me. Point that we'll come to, I would imagine, very soon, at the venue, be nice to absolutely everyone. Key rule number one for being an artist: be nice to everyone. The promoter, the bar staff, the security, and especially the sound technician. Because they have the power. They'll be your best means of promotion. Those people in a venue decide whether you're coming back. The best way is the band have just rolled out, they're on to the next one, and all the staff are having a drink afterwards and kind of go, I like them, they're great, really enjoyed that. Because straight away everybody's going to be thinking, we'll have them back, rather than like them shutting the door kind of going, God, they're not playing here again. You want to be the person that everybody goes, they're cool, I like them, I like what they do, and I like them more importantly as well. Also, when you're at shows, other artists will be playing with you. make friends with them as well. They're such a valuable source of information to you. Be nice to everybody. You never know what anybody's trajectory is going to be. Yeah, they might really like you and then kind of say they pull in a tour, they want you to go with them. But it's that whole gig etiquette thing as well, which is really important when you're an emerging artist. Make sure that you watch the sets of the other artists who are playing, yeah, not unloading and wandering out halfway through their set as well. Just the little things that are important to other bands. You wouldn't want to see somebody loading out and walking out halfway through your set. So think about that as well. But also think about the invaluable source of information that those artists can be as well, because they'll have contacts potentially who are promoters in other towns. They'll have contacts at venues. They might be signed to a label. All these people who, if you network with them, then they might be able to help you going forward as well. So recording. So the process of recording your songs. And again, this is where it's a bit difficult for me because I don't know what stages you all might be at in your development. So I have to kind of make an assumption. So if I'm teaching grandma how to suck eggs, I apologise, but I'll be general about it on the assumption that like you all are in the development stage as well. So going in to record your songs for the first time, yeah, it can be a very scary process. But again, it's like anything, the more you prepare for it, the less scary it's going to be. So starting with what I said before, the song capture and the critique. So your first basic recording of a song can be on your phone, it can be a video from a live rehearsal, it can be on GarageBand. Song capture quality is not important at this stage. It's about having the capture of the song. And then you being able to look at that song objectively. Yeah, looking at the song as if it's somebody else's song. Yeah, are all the parts there? Is the song structure right? Have you thought about that? Are there any elements that you could make stronger? Yeah, do you know the dynamic that you will want in the recording process before you go into record? As we said before, production references. Thinking about what sounds you want to capture around your recordings before you actually go into the studio. You know, the sounds of other records in your genre, for instance. Also, which are your best songs? Yeah, I'm sure every artist in here, the best song that they've ever written is the one that they finished this morning before they left, because your new baby is always your favourite baby. But again, it's that requirement of objectivity. It's a case of like, which are your best songs and which ones are going to make that immediate impact where you think, you know what, somebody hears that, they're going to get me. They'll get it. That will make an impact. That's very important when you're starting to work out how you start to feed your music out there, yeah, to start to build your audience. And then when you're going in to record, the right studio and the right producer. It may be you. You may have the tools that you need and you might have all the gear that you need to be able to do that anyway. It may be that there's another producer that you're going to have to engage to actually record your music for you. So you want to start researching which studios and which producers have recorded the material that represents you, represents your genre, represents your style. Yeah, and then you narrow it down and you kind of think, okay, so that's the person who I want to work with. So you're going to need to contact that producer and ideally just try and meet them for a chat. Yeah, if you're looking at grade A level, then you're probably going to struggle to get that access. But it's again about realising who you want to produce your sound. So when you meet them, they'll probably want to see your song captures or come and see you live or come and see you in rehearsal as well. So if you all agree that they're the right producer for you and you're the right band for them or the right artist for them, then ideally you're going to want a pre-production session before you go in the studio so that they can make some suggestions to your song, and by the time you're going into the studio where it's costing you money, everybody's on the same page. Yeah, make those changes before you go into the studio. And the producer by definition will have suggestions about your song. So the key when you're going in is be open to those suggestions. A producer isn't hopefully trying to completely take control of your project. He's there to help and to make your project bigger than the sum of the parts. So when you're going into the studio, what are you going to need to be doing? There's some really key things. You're going to have to be prepared, because at the minute you enter into a studio, it's costing you money ordinarily, unless you're getting good friends and family. Yeah, Be prepared so that you know exactly what you're doing when you go in. Be rehearsed so everybody knows exactly what they're doing when they go in. Be on time, because nothing says studio off more than the band rocking up late, because it's your clock that's ticking, and then you'll less time to do it. And then be professional as well, because the minute that you step into that environment, the expectation is that you will be a professional recording artist when you go in. So going in with the right attitude, essentially. Yeah, going in there prepared to work. Little things like making sure that whenever you're not recording, your instrument is tuned. So if somebody says, can you jump in and do that? You can, you don't have to faff around. Tuning straight in there as well. And the other good thing about like when you are recording, whether it be at home or in studio, use it to create content as well. Make sure that you capture, whether it be video footage or just photography, that you bank it, whether you're going to put it out there now, but just having the ability to let your fans share your journey in the recording studio as well. So it's also then a nice bit of pre-awareness that you've got new music coming as well. So you start in the hype before you even need to start dropping a track. So key takeaways from that section: when you're playing live, start strong, finish stronger, engage your audience, both from the stage and off stage, and then play to your strengths. Don't try to be something you're not, or don't try and do something if you're uncomfortable doing it, because nothing stands out more than watching an artist trying to do something that they're not comfortable with, because everybody sees straight through it. And another one of the friends and family that a guy called Carrie Caldwell. Carrie works for South by Southwest and The Great Escape, and tour managed Mumford & Sons, and has worked with lots and lots of bands. And Carrie's also one of the graders of South by Southwest, so he gets to decide, one of the people who gets to decide who goes out there to play. But Carrie sums it up: just be nice to everyone you meet at a gig, because they are all your advocates going forward. Yeah, so many people Carrie's tipped me off about, kind of said, really like them, and they're really nice people. And you kind of go, okay, on both counts. Yeah, the quality control side of it, and then the nice person tip as well. So online and branding. So what does online and branding as an artist suggest? So it's a case of you as an artist having to think about the whole package, that people will see in the online presence and offline as well. So your image, your branding, and your online presence. So with your image, goes back to what we were saying about your artist proposition, who you are, what your philosophy is, what your ethos is, what you stand for. Is this reflected in your image as an artist or a band? Do you look like you sound? Again, that pentangles, folky voice thing, but essentially just avoid confusion. Where I've put there, that's the band. So basically, ensure that you look, when you're in a social environment, when you are, whether it be at your own gig or somebody else's, that you look like you are the artist that everybody expects. It's such an important thing to kind of go, they look cool. As we were talking about a band that I went to see on Saturday, you walked in and it was 3 hours before their set at a festival, and you just looked at them and kind of went, okay, which of the bands are they? Right, okay, that's them, got you. They looked like they absolutely believed they were the most important band in the world, which is great. So people want to be able to walk in the venue and kind of go, okay. But similarly, believable. It's got to be authentic, it's got to be believable, it's got to be consistent with your music and your philosophy as well. Do you feel comfortable with the image that you're portraying? Because as you know better than anybody, you can smell fake a mile off and it sticks out like a sore thumb. So you've got to be comfortable with the image that you're portraying yourself, and it'll show. So you don't want to have to compromise what you're doing. So it's great to have a stage persona or an off-stage persona. You've just got to have an awareness of when you're on stage and when you're off stage officially. Excuse me, and when you need to be in character, essentially. So again, with branding, consistency. your branding is going to need to be consistent with your music, but it's also going to need to be consistent across all your platforms, your social media, your websites, etc. So thinking about, and again, it's all there on the document to kind of try and help retain all this, the logo or the font that you use, does it look relevant to your style or your genre? Your artwork, is it consistent with your sound? What is it that you're promoting at this stage? Photography, what photos are there out there of you as an artist? Is it visually capturing how you want your music to be perceived? Do the visuals represent your music and your artist proposition again? So that consistent artistic presence across all your social media, your Spotify profile, etc., etc. The relation to your audience thing again, as I said earlier, the beauty of most emerging artists is that they are making music, for the demographic that they are part of. So that will form a large part of your target audience. They will be just like you. So you have to ensure that your visual representation will appeal, to your target audience. Does it speak to them in the way that you would want to be spoken to? So thinking about whether your visual would represent you looking at it objectively again. So the instant karma, instant judgment thing, for which, a very old photo of One Direction on there as well. But the importance of your visual branding alongside your audio branding can't really be overstated, because it's going to be determining people's initial reaction to your music in so many ways. They're going to often form an opinion from the visual image that they see alongside the audio as well. And when they are discovering your music on a platform where the visual and the audio are intrinsically linked, that audio representation might be overcome by the visual representation if they kind of go, that doesn't look like what I was expecting. So you need to make sure that your visual and your audio representation side by side. The initial images that the public see, so that the listener feels engaged and wants to continue, essentially the relationship between you. Which brings us to kind of you online. So it's a case of what are you online? Where are you online to be found? So what's your target audience and your target media, as we said about earlier? Having a clear vision of who your target audience are, and they're more than likely very much like you. So again, thinking about how they discover new music and where you're going to put your music on the channels that they're looking to find it. Don't expect people to hunt you down. You've got to make life quite easy for them to find when they're searching for you at first. Thinking about which media you're targeting. Where are you going to be looking? Is radio a key determinant? Is it YouTube? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Is it Spotify? Is it SoundCloud? Where is your music going to sit most naturally? So building an audience as well. So you need to think about how you're going to grow your audience with your social media as well, because again, as we all know, it's a massively important part of how other people come to look at you. The first question that will get asked is, what are their socials like? How many plays on Spotify? How many friends, family, followers, etc., etc., etc. So the analytics are still very important, and they're something that we all know shouldn't be as important, but we all know they are. So you've got to have an awareness of how you are going to build your audience and prove your audience as well. So what's your online presence at the moment? Have you got your own website? Do you own the domain name for your website? Even if you haven't got the website built, is it available to you? Do you know the functionality of the website that you're going to want to have? You don't need to actually have it up and running now, but ensuring that you own the domain name, if you can afford to just keep that and register it, even if you don't have the website built, so you can have it going forward. You don't need all the bells and whistles on your website at the moment, but knowing what you want and what your target audience expect in advance of them building some website will help a long way as well. Little things that you can think of ahead of the game as well. Is your website responsive, i.e. is it working on mobiles as well? Because again, your knowledge of your target audience, if your target audience uses mobile to listen to and discover a lot of new music, you need to make sure your social media presence is responsive, so it looks as good on a mobile as it does on a desktop. So I'll briefly fly through all the social media because I know that you will be aware of them, but just a case of having them all there. So Facebook, obviously, but you've got to be aware of the limitations of the reach of Facebook now with the percentage of people who will actively see your posts unless they're promoted. So consequently, you can't just rely on that. Facebook Live is a really useful tool for live streaming, for talking about events, etc. But you've got to be aware that you don't know, without promotion, how many people you're actually reaching. Twitter and Snapchat, useful as well, because they can be more chatty. On the document, it's about finding your online voice. So it's a case of you can use Twitter and Snapchat sometimes to actually allow people to discover a little bit more about you and your personality. You can be a little bit more conversational with them, whereas Facebook tends to be more of a promotion response rather than an actual conversational response. But with anything, when you're finding your online voice, just be very, very careful that online voice can very quickly get out of hand. So you've got to be aware of what you are posting at all times, and the fact that if that gets screenshot, it'll live with you forever. So you've got to have an awareness and think about what you're posting at all times, especially with Snapchat. Yeah, I'll leave that with you. Your YouTube as well, thinking about what's on your YouTube. Like Maz said earlier, limit what's up there. Don't throw everything out there just for the sake of it. Target what you're putting up there and why you want it up there. With YouTube, targeting tags and the keywords. What are those 7 or 8 keywords that you are going to have as your tags on your YouTube video? Because that's going to drive the search engine optimization, and that's going to stand more chance of those random discoveries rather than the targeted discoveries. And thinking about what annotation you might want within your YouTube video as well, so that you might be wanting to drive traffic to a particular social media platform, which you use the annotation within your YouTube video as well. Instagram, again, huge, especially within your demographic as well. So thinking about that visual element to your social media, using Instagram to allow your fans to share your journey. What's really interesting is that if you find that you've got a market in Germany, Instagram blows Twitter out of the water in Germany, largely because German words are so flipping long. When you've only got 140 characters, you can't fit enough in, so they use Instagram instead, which is strange but true. SoundCloud, again, really important tool for you. Don't have too many tracks on there. Don't give too much of your art away. Let people discover more. Use it as a key for promoting a couple of tracks, and then if people want to engage with you, then you have the decision about whether you give them more music to listen to there. It's also a very, very useful tool to utilize when you're sending music out to media as well. Likewise Spotify. If you're at the stage where you've got your official Spotify page as well, Spotify links to tracks. If you've got your tracks at that stage where they're upstream to Spotify as well, a great link to send. But with SoundCloud, it's really handy. You can send a private link. You can have a download of the WAV available. So if you're sending something through to, say, X here, and you want to get a track to John Kennedy, sending him a link to a private SoundCloud stream so he can listen to it, and then making a WAV available to download from there is perfect for him, because if John listens to it and likes it, and from there he can download a high quality WAV, which is radio broadcastable, he doesn't have to come back to you to ask permission. You've already put it there, he can play it. If he wants to play it on a show, he sends you an email, you don't get the email in time, he responds. By the time you've responded, he's got the WAV. Too late, show's already been programmed. Next week, something else has come through the door. Don't miss the opportunity to make the tool there, but whatever you do, and we'll touch on it in a bit, don't send WAVs or large MP3s. That's why SoundCloud as a tool for bloggers and for radio is really useful. Send a private link, have the download available there as well for them, so they can play it straight away. Pinterest, again, huge female bias in the demographic of users. But if you know what your target audience is, and your target audience includes females from 14 to 45, then really, really interesting. Again, with your artist proposition and being able to look at how you can visualize the appeal of what you are doing on a wider scale, Pinterest is a really interesting social media to use. When it comes down to selling your music online, the digital aggregators that you're going to need to be thinking of. Yeah, the Dittos, the Spin-Ups, the TuneCores, the CD Babies, etc. Yeah, all those places that your target audience can find your music going down the line. And similarly, Bandcamp, Music Glue, etc. Sites that you can then sell directly to your fan base and your consumer without having to have your own website, etc. You can sell digital files, you can sell physical CDs, you can sell merch, somewhere where you can engage people who may not be able to come and find you physically. In this day and age now, you put a track up there, you're probably listening to tracks from Sweden, from Australia, from LA. Yeah, they're not going to be able to come to a show, but they might see that you've got a CD, vinyl, a t-shirt, something that they might want to buy. So if you've got an outlet through be it a Bandcamp or Music Glue site as well, you're allowing that person, no matter how far geographically removed, to be part of your clan. Excuse me. And engaging. The key factor in all of your social media is to be engaging, isn't it, realistically? Yeah, so that you're not that person that everybody goes, flicks through. You want people seeing what you're doing, and you want people sharing that content amongst their friends, so you're growing your fan base as well, so that friends of friends discover your music as well. So key takeaways again: authenticity, don't be fake, you know, you've got to make sure that you're there. Consistency across everything that you're doing, yeah, and then know where your audience are looking, so that you put your music where your audience are looking. Kieran from All About Promotion, which is a radio plugin company, yeah, knowing who you are and your sound and image, because if promo takes off and you gather an audience and then suddenly you veer off to the left and you've changed your direction and you've gone from being a folk artist to a grime artist, you might lose some of your audience along the way. So just knowing who you are and how you're targeting your audience. So this is always the interesting bit when we're sitting down with artists and you start talking about research and insight, and you can see just the glazed look, and it's like, really? But it's kind of like, yeah, it's fun, honest. You know it is, yeah. But it's vitally important that you need to know who your targets are, and from the outset, you know who are the right people to contact, and more importantly, how best to approach them as well. So as you develop your career onwards, there's going to be different people that you need to target. So you're going to have to work out how you build that network. So what we're going to do is have a quick look at who these people are and how they can help you to kind of like further your music career and how you go about approaching them. So I say, yeah, I'm a musician, research, but it's not. It's, you're essentially, you're a small business. Now that's the harsh reality of the fact that as an emerging artist now, you are running your business because you are in the business of getting people to invest in your art and your creativity. Now, unfortunately, investment is a four-letter word in a lot of areas, and that is risk, because at that stage you are a risk. So there's two key words in the music business, and they are music and business. So you're going to need to have an awareness of them both. So again, having those tools available to you so you have a comprehension of the world that you're getting into, and that you're not going to be the best artist in your bedroom, because that's the one thing that strikes terror into all of us, that the potential never comes beyond the bedroom because you don't have the tools or know how to access the people who are going to actually make an impact on your career. So having that understanding of these people is so important, because the competition is tough and there's no escaping that fact at the moment. It's never been harder, than it is at the moment, with economic changes, music industry changes, the growth of streaming, the decline in physical. It is a difficult world that we're making music in, but it's never been, easier to get your music out there. But through the tools that are available to you, through those tools that are available to you, but it's never been more difficult to get it heard because there's so much music out there. So you're going to have to work out how you're going to cut through the noise to ensure that the right people hear your art, your music, so that they're in place to be able to help you move your career forwards as well. So the tools are available to you. Yeah, at the end of the day, I always say, if you've got an internet connection and a connectable device, you can pretty much track down anybody that you want to. Yeah, outside of the stalking world, realistically. Yeah, you can find where these people are and you can let them know that you exist. Now that's a really important tool, but the research element is how you find these people and how you approach them in a way that they might want to be approached in a way to actually get back to you as well. Yeah, you're looking to find people who are sympathetic to your music, and you're looking to find people who are empathetic with your music, who actually look at your music and get what you are doing, because that way you're sowing your seeds on a lot more fertile soil than just throwing them scattergun out to anybody and hoping you hit the right targets. But knowing how to approach them, how to appeal to them as well, really important. Like, yeah, the interesting thing, like Carrie from South by, and like I say, I work with South by Southwest on the education side as well. But like last year in 6 days in Austin, there were over 2,000 bands playing in Austin in 6 days. So how do you cut through that noise to make sure that your artistry stands out above those other 2,000 bands? So that's basically what we're talking about, is how you ensure that the people who can make a difference to your career know about your music. And then the talent borrows and genius steals idea as well, because this is, you know, what we're saying about your target audience. We're looking at people who might want to hear your music and then share your music. So basically what you're looking at is you've got to research whose fans you are borrowing, not stealing, borrowing, because you're sharing fans as well. So it's a case of what other artists and bands are these people into that you are looking to target. And again, it's all in there in the research side of it. So which bands are similar in so many ways to you? What venues do these artists play at? What media or radio play these artists as well? What marketing tools do these artists use successfully? Yeah. Which blogs write about them? You know, take that information and apply it to your music, but it basically means that you're going to have to go out there and do some research, do some work. You wouldn't set up any other small business without working out what your market was and where you were going to put them. So it sounds really boring, but essentially what it is an excuse for you to go out and look at what other bands in your genre are doing. Yeah, it's going to mean that you uncover new bands that you'd never heard of, that you'll stumble across, which will be great. Yeah, you'll find websites that you never knew that existed that support your genre of music as well. So it's going to increase your knowledge as well. Yeah. And so in the name of research, you're doing a really good thing, because you're finding out that, and you're finding out about new artists, but they're also helping to support your business plan while you're discovering new music as well. So the know your competition, the who, the what, the how, and the where. So a good way of working out, well, kind of task artists with working out similar bands to yourself, is to think of like your ideal lineup of which 3 bands would play, you'd be the first on, and which 3 other bands would be playing above you. So which would you be opening support for those 3 bands? Yeah, in order of, so it's a case of the headliner, main support, then the band that's above you, then the band. Because then you're starting to look at those artists that you think you'd fit with, and then that allows you to go outside and start to look at what those artists that are most relevant to you, whose fan base you're looking to borrow, are doing. So you can take a lot of information from that as well. What those bands that are like a couple of steps up the ladder from you, what are they doing? What's successful for them? What tools are working for them? And what are they doing to ensure that they grow their fan base, because that fan base is the one that you want to borrow? And how are they doing what they're doing? All ideas that you can borrow and utilize, because they're the same people that you're looking to get your music in front of. Yeah. like I said, what venues are they playing, what shows are they at, who's booking them, what's the promoter, what festivals, what emerging music festivals were they playing at right from the start, who was the first radio person to play them, which bloggers were talking about them and things like that. And when you're talking about approaching bloggers, it's about doing your homework as well. And I kind of always say to people looking at Hype Machine, so hypem.com, which is kind of like the aggregator of the top 110, I think it is, music blogs. Hype Machine's really good, and it's on the document as well with the website address, and it's really good because it's got a search engine. So when you've worked out which of those 3 bands that you want to borrow the fan base of, you can type each one of those bands into Hype Machine and it will tell you which blogs have written previously about those artists. So straight away you're looking at a list of people who you know have written about the bands that you want to target the fans of. But that's where the homework is, because you've got to click through, because you need to read it, because while most bloggers don't diss bands for randomly, you need to make sure that the person that you're about to approach wrote something positive about that artist. So when you kind of go, hey, yeah, I saw you wrote about so-and-so and we're just like them, he's not sitting there going, yeah, and if you'd have read the review, I absolutely coated them. So again, just doing your homework and making sure that how you approach people is relevant to what they do. Yeah, it's the same with Spotify playlists as well now. Spotify playlists are becoming so important. It's about working out which ones are the influencers within your genre as well. And often they'll be linked to blogs as well. Yeah, most of the blogs have a really good Spotify playlist. Yeah, most of the good Spotify playlists are putting stuff up online as well. So again, it goes back to that thing about working out who is sympathetic and empathetic to your music, so that you're approaching them for the first time kind of going, we've got so much in common. Yeah, you're bound to love my music.
Sorry, I have a question. What advice would you give to an artist that is like struggling to find, I struggle to find comparisons in my own music.
Right, okay.
And I've asked other people, and it's not particularly obscure or weird or anything.
No.
I'd say it's just like pop songs, but I struggle to find other artists and bands that compare. What advice would you give to someone?
Well, I tell you what, well, let's take that at the end of it, yeah, because that's going to be involve me asking you questions and then you answering questions and stuff like that. So we'll do that at the end if that's cool, because I know exactly what you mean, but it's a case of like, every artist thinks they're original as well. So that's it. So it's a case of, but that might be because there's somebody out there that you kind of go, no, the person outside hears you and kind of go, God, you remind me so much of that person. And you'll be like, really? It's like, yeah. Yeah, whether it's the emotion, your voice, lyrics, or whatever. So there's loads of ways to skin that cat, don't worry. So, and fan sharing. So again, it's looking at what the fans want and how you're going to engage with that audience as well. So a clear picture to your audience about what you're aspiring to be, what media, what blogs, what venues that your audience naturally gravitates towards as well. Knowing whether, what they want, putting it where they are looking as well. So again, before the approach, sympathy, empathy, as I've banged on about already. So you've done your homework, you've looked at how to, who you're going to send the music to. Now you can work out how you're going to approach them. The good thing is, virtually everybody who's got a blog or a Spotify playlist has got social media as well. So you start to follow their social media, that'll give you more of an impression about the person you are going to approach. You'll see what they're talking about, you'll see what bands they're talking about. It'll give you more of their online voice. So you're getting much more of a picture of the person you are making the approach to. And you're also ensuring that they really do like the kind of music that you make, so that before you send it to them as well. And when you do make that approach as well, let them know that you've read their blog. Kind of saying, I love what you wrote about so-and-so. It kind of, it's a way of showing them that you have actually made the effort to look at the media that they're actually, that's their baby, and you want them to review your baby. So, saying your baby is lovely, take a look at mine. So, standing out and first impressions, and it's as important when you're making an approach to people in the media as anything else. It's a case of like, how are you going to target those bloggers, those radio stations, those playlisters, because they're getting targeted so many times a day. How are you going to cut through that noise to ensure that your email gets opened and they actually take on board what you've looked at. So you've worked out your targets, and have a look at each particular blog. It might be something that's a special feature of a particular blog. They might have a Artist of the Week section or things like that. So by referencing that in your approach to them, again, the person's kind of going, that's cool. They've obviously read my blog and they've thought about what part of my blog is relevant to that artist. So again, straight away, they're more inclined to look at you, more comfortably. And also as well, a key thing, the blogs will often have specific instructions. It's very similar with festivals as well. They'll often have instructions with how they would like to receive their music. So ensure that before you find them, you go onto the site and you actually look at how they like to receive their music. Because that's often a test that bloggers will do, just a case of see whether you have actually ever read their blog. Because then if you approach them in a way that's not how they set out that they want to be approached, then they've got a reason for knocking you to the ballpark, because straight away you look as if you've just put everybody in BCC and fired it out to them. So again, just be aware that that is their baby. Like I say, festivals are the same as well. Having a look at how you're going to approach festivals, and each festival often has a different way of applying it, whether it be sonic bids, whether it be directly through the website, etc. But just being aware of that. Kind of things that when we were talking to bloggers as well about how they like to be approached, there's some little rules that they kind of kept coming back to us, just to try and ensure that you, again, cut through the noise. Don't use all capitals in the title. Because most of them will look at that and kind of go, don't shout at me, sorry. And also another thing which was quite interesting was don't put the words press release in the email header, because they said a lot of them will delete anything that says press release straight away, which I thought was quite weird, but I'm not a blogger. So it's a case of, I presume, again, it comes back to that thing of kind of like, come on, make me feel a little bit special. Even if I'm not, try and make me feel a bit special. So before you approach people as well, ensure that your social media is on point. As we said, that's going to be the first window into your world. If they, that first click, they start to listen, they see what they, they like what they see, they like what they hear. The first thing any of us do is go straight onto social to look at your social media. So make sure that all your social media that you've got is relevant, it's on point, it's up to date, and it's shown that you're active as well. Because like I say, that first window of the world is really, really important. And the irony of me now saying get to the point, because I've just seen how long I've taken, sorry. So making sure you've got a short, enticing story, making sure your email can be read in 30 seconds, 3 short paragraphs to the point. Have a link to the stream of the track right at the top. So the first thing they do when they open it, they can click on it, and then the 3 paragraphs running underneath it so that they can actually read while they're listening, and that gives them all the information that they need. Sending the streaming link, as we said before, and then having that download available for radio as well. And if you're including any images, any photo or artwork, make sure it's really small files so it's not going to fill their inbox up as well. So, how to submit your music by doing your homework. Don't send huge files, like in the link, and then the 30-second rule as well. Now, in the home of Capital and Global, I'm kind of Jeff Smith, who's the head of music for Radio 2 and 6 Music. Jeff's an absolute darling and an absolute music fan. But the point that Jeff makes is really important there. Attention to detail. Look at his name. Jeff, spelt Jeff, where Jeff can also be spelled Geoff, and Smith. If you can't be bothered to spell someone's name right, why should they listen to your music? So again, attention to detail, Is John Kennedy with an H or without an H? Just little things like that think about what you're doing. Again, you're asking them a favour to review your music. At least, pay them the respect of getting their name right when you approach them. See, so research. Who ever thought it'd be boring? So I'm going to really rattle through this because I know that I'm late. So, content, campaign, and strategy. The whole package, that's essentially what we're going to be looking at now, isn't it? So your content, what is it that you're releasing? Are you giving one track away? Is it a full EP? Are you looking to sell your music? Is it going to be digitally? Is it going to be manufactured on CDs? So many schools of thought with regards to emerging artists about the best way to put your music out there, but it's largely going to come down to what is the best for you. Yeah. Some people believe that by offering any music for free, you're devaluing it. But similarly, if you're looking to put your music out there and draw in an audience that's going to consume music and pay money for your music as well, how are they going to hear it speculatively without, them having to purchase it as well? Now, obviously, with streaming, you have that, that access, through the Spotify and Apple Music, where you will be getting monetized, and you have that link. No matter how small, it's still money, money that is being paid to you for allowing people to listen to your music. But you're going to have to think again. It comes back to your target audience and how you think your target audience is going to discover your music, primarily to allow them to share it to as wide an audience as possible. So again, knowing your market, knowing your target audience. You can have your music on SoundCloud, you can have it on YouTube. You know you're not getting paid for various parts of that work as well, unless you've got your own YouTube channel as well. But it's a case of which is the best means of distribution to get your music to as many people as possible in the shortest term. So, telling your story. So with so much music being released to bloggers and to radio as well, how are you going to cut through that noise and make sure that your music stands out from everybody else's? Quality goes without saying, it has to be of a quality, but how are you going to tell your story to cut through that first impression that's so important nowadays? You have to know that it's more than just the music that people are going to be looking at as they get out there as well. So what's your story? What's your angle? What's setting you apart from the competition, from the other 199 artists that person opened that day? And then what is the current chapter of your story that you're looking to promote with this release? And again, the irony of me saying, what is it that you can say in as short a time as possible? So, but what it is you're looking to give them a little snapshot so the person listens, looks and thinks, I want to know more about this band. That's the first step to them coming back to approach you. So what your fans want, we've gone over it enough times, so you can kind of that is your homework. It's a case of what your fans want, what you're giving them, where you're giving it to them. So what you're going to need, a short, succinct biography, 30 seconds, 3 chapters, a strong visual image, be it logo, artwork, what format you'll be sending that out to, whether it's video link, whether it be an audio link. Will you have a music video? Things like that you're going to be thinking about. What is it that you are going to be using as your initial approach? Whether it be a lyric video, whether it's SoundCloud stream. So I'm literally, a lot of this is in here, but you will be able to look at it and reference it. It's just that, so I'm not, I'm putting quite as much verbosity around, what we're doing as well. Does your music lend itself to remixes, etc.? How can you widen your audience outside? Engagement. What is it about the content that is going to be engaging for your audience to find, see and share, which is essentially what you're looking for it to do. How can you can encourage your fan base to share your music, basically. Your campaign, what do you want to achieve? The old business term, what does success look like? So again, you'll have different levels of what it is that you want to achieve, and that's vitally important to how you're going to plan your strategy going forward. Are you looking to grow your fan base? Obviously, but how are you looking to grow your fan base? Is it blogs? Is it a mailing list? Is it radio plays? Is it social media, etc., etc.? You're looking to just get more gigs primarily. Are you looking to sell something now, or are you looking to sell something down the line as well? But essentially your long-term aim is to monetize your fan base and grow your fan base. So thinking about your strategy going forward, about what you need to be doing now to ensure that long-term aim as well. Your long-term aim is going to be a lot more readily met if you've ensured that more people know about you in the short term as well. Knowing what you want to achieve and knowing how you implement that plan is going to basically set up the strategy that you're going to want to undertake going forward. So hence, like I say, I'm really skipping through this now as well. And the timing, that's going to be where the strategy, timing is everything. That's where you're going to have to put in a strong, clear timeline of what you want to achieve, doing it in the order that you need to achieve something, and how you get your release strategy to ensure you maximize the promotion of your music using the tools. With radio now, impact dates, are essentially event dates, timing of events. What used to be release dates and everything was geared to release date, now it'll be an impact date. What are you doing around the promotion that's actually going to highlight what you want to achieve? So whether it be the day of a gig that you want to highlight, whether it be the day that something goes online, whether it's the Spotify release date, etc. The event that you're working towards is again going to determine the timelines of your strategy. Excuse me. You'll be able to see when that strategy, when the timeline, what is it that you make available? Is it a stream at first that you make available? Is it when it goes live on Spotify? Is there a video, etc., etc.? All of these different tools that you will utilize as part of the strategy and where they fit in the timeline and how they map out from there. So like I say, this worksheet, this whole checklist is part of a much longer program, and that's why it's quite difficult for me to then talk to you about a strategy and kind of go, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Yeah. So thinking about your timing of how you do it. And again, this is why the contact details are there as well. So please feel free to just kind of ask and email questions, because I've realised that I've just talked at you for an hour. So let's go. The problem that you've got is like when you are looking to get gigs, because like some of you will be looking to get more shows and things like that. Often you'll be looking to book shows 2 to 3 months in advance, having to fit them around what your release strategy is going to be. Yeah, people might not know you 2 to 3 months in advance. So again, it comes back to the research, because if when you're making that approach to venues about booking you, if you can say, I am looking to do shows around this period of time to promote this event, and around this event is this happening, I'm approaching these people at those blogs, these people at that radio. Again, it shows that you've done your homework, it shows you're serious, and it shows you've done your research, and that approach to play those gigs is part of a much wider plan. So people will be a lot more accessible to the idea of you playing at their venue if they think that you're going to be doing it professionally and it's part of a much wider plan. So how are you going to approach these people as well? If you've got notable supporters, mention them as well. It's all the things that, again, you're going to be researching and you're pulling together to work out how this fits with what you want to approach people with. Excuse me. How to get what you want. As I said, personalising the approach, just making sure that you've done your homework when you're actually approaching these people. The 30-second rule, again, as we said previously, knowing that something is easily readable, gives them all the information that they want in a very short period of time. And standing out from the crowd, ensuring that the header of the email is catchy, ensuring that people are going to want to open and take notice of that email straight away. What's the opening paragraph going to say to them that's going to actually retain them there as well? So knowing your own story, don't bore us, get to the chorus in the same way with your approach, making sure that within 30 seconds, they've kind of got you, they kind of know who you are. And then having a degree of planning and flexibility, because accidents will happen. Things won't come in on time. That remix that was definitely going to be there won't come in on time. The video that was definitely going to be delivered won't be on time. The CDs that you ordered for that show will be on time. So having that flexibility to be able to cut through the channels that you need to, that's kind of really important as you go forward as well. But it's also that flexibility when good things happen as well, because something good will happen and that'll mean, oh yeah, but I was going to do that on that day. Well, okay, be flexible, work out how you're going to shift your strategy going forward to make the best of the good things that happen, as well as any accidents that might happen. And basically just saying yes to every opportunity you get, to increase your gigs, to increase your presence. So Neil Simpson, who was one of the original managers of Catfish and works for ATC Management, which is Radiohead, Nick Cave, etc. Really important. The driving force of the band or the artist, that ambition and that determination, the work ethic has to come from the artist. The most important thing is realizing that it's your drive. The rest of your team as you move forward will be there to support you, but you're the one that's got to drive it. No manager or no team will want to be the one dragging you up the hill. What they'll want to be doing is being out of breath, trying to catch you as you run up the hill, just to make sure that you're on point. is I always describe our role as sheepdogs. Basically, you've got to know your own path. Yeah, you'll be cutting your way through, and our job is just to bark at you if you get a bit too close to the cliff and we think you're going to go off the cliff. Yeah, you're the one that's driving all of this as well. So, somewhat belatedly, I think that brings us to the end of the presentation. So, hopefully now I've given you a bit of an insight. I'm sorry that it was rushed as well, because I said to Zoe I could do it in 45 minutes, so I quite patently can't. So, but it's about how the various areas of the industry relate to each other. Like I say, the document, hopefully now when you actually look at it in your own time space, you'll realise what I was rambling on about and kind of going, no, okay, yeah, and it'll be there for you and actually hopefully make a little bit of sense as well. But the most important things are, you know who you are, you know what you want as an artist as well, you've got the tunes, you've got the tools, so all of these things that are so importantly, but the key thing that you've got to remember is if at first you don't feel that you're succeeding like you wanted to, stick at it. It's the resilience that you're going to need which overarches everything that's in this document, because for every artist that you're seeing now blowing up, you don't see the years of hard work that's gone in behind them. Yeah, the 7-year overnight successes, as we call them as well. Those artists who've been chipping away and getting better and better and better at their art. And it's at any stage they could have given up, but they didn't. They had the resilience to keep driving forward as well. So it's about how we can help you get the tools and the contacts and grow your network and show you how to grow your network. But essentially that resilience and the drive has to come from you, and it's going to be so important as you go forward and make your career in music as well. So don't be put off. Yeah, no matter how many times someone tries to push you back, get back up, your view, you're going for it, you know what you want, you know what you want to achieve. So that's basically the end, I think. Belatedly, so just make sure. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Mark. That was absolutely amazing. Thank you for coming, everyone. Mark, are you going to be around?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm so sorry that I went on so long into that time. I was probably going to get thrown out.
Amazing. So if anyone has any questions, just grab Mark at the end of the session. Like I said, go onto the website. We'll be posting details of our next masterclass very soon. And it was lovely to see you all, and thank you for coming. Thank you so much.
And I will honestly try and get back to you. If you email me and you got thoughts and ideas, just say that you were here, and I will try and get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I honestly will. So.